It's Thursday, September 18th, 2025, and we've got some football tonight, but we've also got a big time game preview for Saturday that we're going to go over today. Welcome in to Armchair Analysis. I'm Tyler Isley. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And really, we got a pretty packed show today. We've got a lot of news. Big news just dropped actually just a few minutes ago that we're going to talk about a little bit. We've got some players' statuses for this weekend, some changes being made at Colorado once again. And we're going to preview tonight's game between Rice and Charlotte, and we're going to preview Saturday, Oklahoma and Auburn. So make sure you stick around. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoy the video today. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. It's free. It just helps us out. We're at 188. We're looking to get to 200. I certainly think we can do that, and it all starts with you guys tuning in, helping us out, and being a part of this. Over 90% of people who watch these videos aren't subscribed, and that's okay. But we do some really good content over here. At least that's the way I see it. And sure, I'm biased 100%, but I think we do some good content over here, and we do it year round. So if you're a college football fan, whether that's casual or a diehard, this is the place to be. So appreciate you all for tuning in. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, or a great day, or having a great day so far. Have a great rest of your day. But with all that said, let's go ahead and get into today's video. And man, like I said, we had some news drop today, and pretty exciting news. We're gonna get expected to get. It's tentative from what I've read. Now I've seen some confirming it, saying it's gonna happen. I would say it's very likely it's gonna happen. It'll be pretty easy to get the game moved around. It needs to be moved around. Arizona State and Kansas have essentially agreed to play and put in tentative plans for a September 19th game in 2026 in Wembley Stadium in London, the United Kingdom. That's the first game in London in college football. Of course, Wembley Stadium hosts quite a few games every year in the NFL ranks and has been doing that for years now. But a college football game over there is pretty exciting. And not only that, but it's not a week 0 game. It's going to be a week 3 game. I'm a little intrigued by that. Mainly because, we already see week 1 not really work, or week 0, sorry, not really work out for a lot of teams. A losing team ends up not really doing all that great throughout the course of the year. Will we see the same? Will week 3 make a difference throughout the course of the year? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm smart enough to know how that works, or really there's any science behind the fact that teams that go play in Ireland are pretty poor, after they lose. I don't really know why there's a science behind it. I don't know why it happens, but it does. It happens every year. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. But I'm pretty excited for this game. It's two teams that are going to have some question marks next year, of course. Jalen Daniels is in what I'm fairly certain is going to be his last year of eligibility. Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson are likely not going to be at Arizona State anymore after this year. There's a lot of big storylines to go into that, and I think that there's two teams at this time next year, because it's literally a year and a day away, that I think it makes for a fun matchup. I think it can make for a lot of excitement. I think it's cool that they're expanding out there. Of course, we got Michigan and Western Michigan playing in Germany next year. We have trying to remember who's supposed to be in Ireland next year. And maybe there's not. Maybe that's why they've got a game in Germany. But it's gonna be interesting. I'm pretty excited for it. I think it'll be fun to watch. Again, the storylines are gonna be there. We don't know who's gonna be playing for any of these teams, but we kind of have an idea based on what rosters look like now. And that's a fun game. That's a fun matchup. I'm excited for it. So I thought that was pretty cool news to lead off today with. Moving on, Colorado's announced that they're going to go back to Caden Salter as their quarterback this week. The Ryan Staub experience, I don't want to say it didn't work out. I just think they got flat out beat by Houston. And I don't think that's outrageous to say. I don't know that Caden Salter does any better for Colorado against Houston, to be completely honest. I don't think it was a particularly fair move. I think this is a move of, okay, well, that didn't work. Let me go back to cover my ass and use the guy that we brought in the portal. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It is what it is. I think Excuse me. I keep like getting choked up. I don't know why. Um, I think that Salter is obviously the more experienced quarterback, but it hasn't worked out. Ryan Staub was good. At some point, I mean, are we just expecting that Julian Lewis is going to become the starter? I mean, I am personally. I'm pretty certain at this point that we're going to see Julian Lewis as the starter for the Buffs at some point this year, and it may be next week. The way things are going, I mean, look, you've teetered back and forth a couple times now. Obviously, neither are working the way you expected them to. I just think that at some point we're just going to see them try out the freshman and let him do what he's got to do. That's the way I see it again. Who knows? But Colorado again going back to Caden Salter for this weekend's game. Lenore Sellers is questionable for Missouri this week. Of course, he went out last week with what they determined to be a concussion, if I'm remembering this correctly. Now, I didn't go and look at the article because I felt confident that it's a concussion, but we're gonna go ahead and double check because I don't like doing that way. Yeah, it seemingly is a concussion. So, and it looks like if it's not him, it'll be Luke Doty based on what we saw last week. Luke Doty came in and they weren't really all that good. There were some moments, but overall it wasn't all that good. I'd be surprised, or I wouldn't particularly be surprised if Aaron Nolan plays. The transfer from Ohio State. He's a highly touted recruit. Certainly could have the talent and be able to do what he needs to do. I think he has a similar skill set, so who knows? But really a big blow because this is a team that doesn't need to be missing their star player. But if he's not able to play next week, that's going to be, or this weekend, it's going to be really bad, I think, for South Carolina. I think Missouri will go in and pretty much handle business in that game. Last little bit of news that we saw, officially no more spring transfer portal window, which means there's a 10-day period from January 2nd to January 11th. That is your 10 days to either get in the portal or don't. And that obviously does not include coach firing, stuff like that. But either you hit the portal then or you don't. And I like it, honestly. It allows you to really gather what you have after spring practice. And sure, we may see some guys just completely opt out of a season. That I'm sure is going to happen. We are going to see that at some point because, I mean, we've already kind of seen it. Um, but now it's just a matter of, hey, you know what? You don't like where you're at in the depth chart after spring? Okay, I guess I'll just quit and go train and go somewhere else. Is that a cowardice way to do it? I would say yes, but hey, I'm not the one. I'm not the one doing it, and I'm not the one in the position. So who am I to really judge the action, right? But I think we'll see it. I think we will see it certainly throughout the course of the college football life cycle. January 2nd from 11th to 11th, I think is good because you're not going to see really a lot of playoff contenders lose a lot of players anyways. They typically, I mean, they do, but they don't lose anybody who's a big part of the team, right? So I think that works out. I think that it allows you to kind of finalize your roster in the spring, understand who you have on the roster. It helps out a lot. I mean, it helps. I'm for it because it helps me out when I'm going through this and I'm not seeing, players that transferred after spring who are all of a sudden, somewhere else. So I think it's kind of a win-win for really everybody. It just allows a little bit more um, understanding, a little more certainty to what the rosters and the teams will look like throughout the year. And it also brings back just a little more regulation, which is nice because, we often say that, sure, there's not a lot of power there, but there needs to be some form of regulation towards the portal and towards um, these players just up and leaving. And I could certainly understand and agree to the sentiment. So it'll be interesting to watch. I'm not really pressed one way or the other. I think it'll be fun to watch. We'll have a blast with it and just kind of see where it goes. So again, a 10-day window from January 2nd to 11th. That's your only window for the transfer portal going forward. Now moving on, we got a game tonight, Rice and Charlotte, and it's going to be played in Charlotte. So excited for that. That's a fun one. Pretty fun matchup, honestly. It's two teams that are not particularly great, but have potential, uh, have some talent around them. I think that I'm certainly buying one team over the other right now based on their level of play to the point of the season. Charlotte's been, I won't say terrible. I mean, they kept North Carolina in check, which is certainly respectable given what we saw North Carolina do. I'm not saying it's impressive, but it's respectable. Um, but they almost lost to Monmouth last week, and that's like, okay, like what is this team really going to be? Tim Alvin's got some work to do. I thought they'd be a little better, but he's got some work to do, and it's very evident that that's the case, and that he may not win this new job and leaving Ohio, because right now Ohio's looking pretty good, and they're not. So um, right now though, I'm looking at Rice to win. I think they're just a better team. I think they're more experienced, a lot more, and just overall played a little better. Obviously, they have a win over an FBS opponent, which Charlotte does not have to this point. But it's not just about that. It's about the style of play, the way they're playing. Scott Bell's done a great job so far here early in the season. Um, so I'm liking the Owls to get the job done again in Charlotte at Jerry Richardson Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. All right, we have a big game this Saturday, and now I know what it's going to show, and that's not correct. So let me go ahead and get the right graphic up here, and there it is: Oklahoma and Auburn, the Sooners hosting the Tigers, and Jackson Arnold's return to Norman this weekend, and that's going to be a big storyline, a big deal, a big point of motivation for Auburn and their quarterback. But not only that, I think Oklahoma's got some motivation and something to prove as well. Say, hey, look, we won in terms of the quarterback and the portal with John Mateer, and so far it looks like they have. But Jackson Arnold's looked really good in this new style of offense, and certainly it's two pretty similar styles of play. They like to get the quarterbacks involved in the run game using draws, pulls, all kinds of different things that create space and allow the quarterback to showcase his athleticism and not just his arm. But we've seen John Mateer just go out and sling it. But the issue that we've seen from him is interceptions and mistakes being made early in the season. 3 interceptions so far in the first 3 games. This Oklahoma defense has not created the turnovers that we would think that they would. They, as a matter of fact, only have a fumble, a forced fumble. They don't even have a fumble recovery or an interception this year. So they need to create more opportunities. We'll talk more about that. And just generally need to take care of the ball. That's kind of the storylines going into this thing. The other storylines, of course, we've already talked about Jackson Arnold coming back to Norman. And it's the SEC opener for these two teams who look to get off to a good start, because these are two teams that I think, depending upon the momentum they can carry, I mean, they might be playoff contenders. Two of them just before our eyes. And now I'm a little more gun shy on that with Auburn, but Oklahoma looks the part, certainly. So it'll be fun to watch. Oklahoma walks in as a 6.5 point favorite. Over under sits at 47.5. And I'm gonna be honest. I think it's gonna be a kind of a blow for blow matchup for a while, and until we see somebody ultimately pull away. Storylines, of course, the keys to the game, I should say, pretty obvious here. Focus on John Mateer if you're Auburn. Keep him contained. Focus on him in the run game. Make Jaden not be the guy that takes the ball. If they're run a read option, or if they're trying to kind of utilize Mateer's athleticism as bait, focus on him. Don't allow him to be the one to beat you, because what he's done so far has been super impressive. I mean, there's been a lot of use in the run game, but he's also really torn people up through the air as well. We saw him against Michigan. That's the other thing, is proven. Like, they are proven this week going into this game, given the fact that they did beat Michigan on the road. And that's it. Sure, Michigan's offense didn't look all that great, but when you look at the Michigan defense, what Oklahoma was able to do throughout the first half of that game really set the tone for how the game was going to be. I think they can do something similar this week. We'll be talking a similar story. taking care of the football. It's the biggest story for both these teams, and the biggest reason I say that is because Jackson Arnold's been known for turnovers. So he's been a turnover-prone quarterback himself, especially in the bigger games. And so this is an opportunity for him to kind of prove that there is a new leaf been turned over, that they are going to be as advertised in that passing game. As for the other side, John Mateer has always been kind of the gunslinger. I'm going to take the risk if it means we can have a reward. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Again, we've seen 3 interceptions so far. It's his biggest downfall as a quarterback is just the hero ball that we see sometimes, and that's one of my keys for Oklahoma. My other keys for Auburn: create pressure, force Mateer to be uncomfortable a little bit, and again, control the line of scrimmage. If they can do that, okay, this is a thing that Michigan tried to do, right? They tried to play bully ball. They tried to push the Oklahoma defensive line around, and it didn't work. They were awful at doing that. Auburn's going to have to, because I don't believe that they can just go out and Jackson Arnold's going to beat Oklahoma through the air. Now, he may have a good game. He may throw for 275 and a couple touchdowns. But if he's throwing 30, 40, maybe even a 45 times a game, I don't think they'll get to 50. But if he's throwing that many times a game, he may throw 2 touchdowns, but he may also throw 2 picks. And that's something that, you know, just I don't think they can get away with in this game. You're going to have to find a way to run the ball. You're going to have to find a way. And obviously that's going to be utilizing Jackson Arnold on the ground. It's going to be utilizing um, other players that we've seen. I believe it was Cam Coleman's had a handful of runs this year on the ground. Eric Singleton's a guy that you can get in a jet sweep motion too. Like just utilizing different looks to create essentially a run game would be something we could see from Auburn. When you look at Oklahoma, create turnovers is one thing because they just haven't done it this year. They have not forced a single turnover this season. They also have yet to really play a quarterback who's been completely cut loose. That's one thing I will say. And what I mean by that is, again, they played Bryce Underwood, but Bryce Underwood was not given the reins to run the ball. They really kept it, within 5 yards with him for the majority of the game. That's just not good enough. Here, that's not going to happen. So you're going to have to really focus on Jackson Arnold and his athleticism as well. And you know his athleticism. You've seen him. He's been on your team before. Like if you're Brent Venables, you kind of have an idea of what you want to do. But you have to focus on Jackson Arnold and make him uncomfortable as well. Again, I said don't play hero ball. It's the biggest thing. John Mateer cannot make unforced errors in this game. Like, take what you can get and march the ball down the field. Be as methodical as you have to be in this offense because I think they're going to push the ball pretty well. Again, creating those turnover opportunities, it's going to be the biggest thing here. Whoever can create that one, maybe even that second mistake, might be the team that ends up winning this game. Again, you look at the lines over under 6.5, or sorry, over under Oklahoma 6.5 point favorite, over under 47.5. Taking Oklahoma to win this game 27-13. I just think that ultimately we are going to see some mistakes from Jackson Arnold. We're going to kind of see that reversion back. I'm not going to say back to reality because I actually think that he's going to play really well this year and continue the path he started. But I think it's going to be put on his shoulders a little bit more, put on his arm, if you will, a little more. And that's something that I don't know that they can particularly just do. So we're going to see that a little bit. I think Oklahoma is going to be able to push the ball up and down the field and eventually in that third quarter start to kind of take over the game the same way we saw from them against Michigan, but that was really the second quarter where we saw them kind of take over. That's kind of how I personally am viewing that right now. Of course, that's it's one man's opinion. Don't take it too personally. But love both these teams. I think it's going to be a fun game no matter what. That 27-13 is not indicative of the fact that it could be still a really close game. So, excited to see what we'll get here this weekend. Hopefully you guys are too. Hopefully y'all have a great rest of your week. We'll see you tomorrow, by the way. We will be back. We'll be previewing Friday night. And depending on what we have to do for that Friday night, which apparently my Apparently the internet died here, so okay. Guess I don't get to maybe not. Okay, whatever. Depending on what we have for Friday night, that was a little wild. Which is only two games: Oklahoma State, Tulsa, and Iowa, Rutgers. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and preview it tomorrow. We're gonna preview Texas Tech and Utah. I was supposed to preview it Tuesday. Didn't get to a video Tuesday, unfortunately. So we'll we'll be previewing that game tomorrow. I am pumped for that game. That's probably the game I'm most excited for tomorrow is Texas Tech and Utah, and that says a lot because I really want to watch this one too. So yeah, with that said, thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. And if we don't see you tomorrow, have a great rest of your weekend. Remember, we're live Saturday, and Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be live. Saturday, we have a special guest on, as BJ is going to be out for the day. And really excited for that one. We got a lot of fun and maybe even a little bit of a group of five expert, if you will, coming on the show. So excited for that. Hopefully you guys will be here. Tune in. Our last live show was fantastic. We had over 90 views live as that show was going on. We're up over 100 on that one. It's the first video we've hit 100 on in a while. The YouTube algorithm hasn't been kind lately. But yesterday it was pretty good too. We were over 50 views for the first time in a while. So make sure if you guys are here, just subscribe. Look, I get it. You don't want your feed cluttered with a bunch of stuff, but I promise you, we got some really good content here. We have great off-season stuff and the works planned out. And we're here year round. We're here year round. We have been grinding away. We've been going 7 days a week for what feels like 6 months now, and it's really only been since June. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been challenging. And when I say challenging, not just to, you know, not just to me, but to those watching. It's been challenging for me to figure out a little bit better way of being creative. Creative ways to do things a little differently than everybody else. And I think there's a lot of work to still be done. Like, if you're not still constantly striving for that improvement, how are you going to get better? So we're continuously looking for those ways, and obviously that feedback is welcome. If there's something that you see that you would like me to do a little bit differently, or maybe change up how I do it, let me know in the comments. It will at least be considered, because look, I'm not an ass. I don't care. I'm not an ego person either. If you tell me there's something I'm doing wrong or something I can do better, I'm gonna certainly take a look at it and make sure that is truly an option for me. And if it is, we're gonna do it that way. So yeah, I just appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Again, I appreciate if you subscribe. It's free. It just gets us a little closer to 200, and even the goals beyond that. And again, we're here all year round. We've got content. We talk about everybody Saturday and Sunday. We literally run down every single game, as well as I do here on Thursday and Friday. So just appreciate you guys for being here. Hope you all have a great rest of your day again. And with that, we're going to get out of here. Hope you all have a good Thursday.